Hey, greetings, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West here, the old school patriot, and I just want to welcome you to another edition of our Facebook Live that we do every other week. I want to say thank you to our website administrator and our social media manager, Marie, also our support team that keeps everything going with our website and enables you to be able to access all the information that we have here. And also just want to say thanks to each and every one of you for all the support, the encouragement, and everything that you do to, well, just say keep it going, and I really appreciate that. Our discussion group that we have that always shares a lot of the thoughts and perspectives and insights that we have here. I want to say how much I appreciate you, and really, I couldn't do it without you and all the things that you lend as far as the encouragement that is so important and necessary for us to do what we do. But as always, we have 30 minutes. First 15 minutes, I want to share some things off the top of my head, and then I want to answer some of your questions that you have here as we scroll down. Yep, it's March Madness. Tennessee got lucky and won their game against Iowa. I mean, they blew a 26-point lead. Hats off to the Iowa Hawkeyes. They didn't quit. They kept fighting, and that's what I love about college sports, because no one just dials it in. No one quits. And so hopefully Tennessee, as they get ready to play Purdue, going into the Sweet 16, they can play a little bit better and don't blow a 26-point lead. And congratulations to all of the teams out there that made it into the March Madness, the NCAA tournament, men's and women's, and also the teams that made it to the National Invitation Tournament. I know that here locally, we have Texas Christian University going back up to New York City. I believe TCU, the Horned Frogs, won the National Invitational Tournament last year, and good luck to them once again. Well, when we talk about good luck, let's talk about the Jussie Smollett case, because it's not just the luck of the Irish, it's the luck of corruption that enabled this person who, without a doubt, I mean, you know, I know that you're supposed to be innocent before proven guilty, but when you look at the incredible amount of evidence that mounted against him, without a doubt, there was a reason why charges were brought forth against Jussie Smollett. 16 felony charges, 16 felony counts were preferred against him based upon the investigation of the Chicago Police Department. But somehow, all of a sudden, on Tuesday, well, it's just like, my bad. The office of the state attorney there in Cook County decided that all the charges were going to be dropped. All of the 16 federal, well, not federal, but all the 16 felony charges were dropped against Jussie Smollett. As a matter of fact, his record has been expunged. The county clerk can't even find records of anything ever happening. It's like nothing ever happened at all. It's like someone waved a magic wand and all of a sudden it's gone. So because of the fact that he served a few hours with Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition, and he forfeited his $10,000 bail, $10,000 for an entertainer. Some punishment, huh? The state attorney, Kim Foxx, recused herself from this case because the information was found out that she had correspondence with the former chief of staff of the former First Lady, Michelle Obama. This chief of staff name is Trish Chan, and they discussed this case. Ms. Chan even showed some, well, let's say undue influence, asking her to put pressure on the superintendent of the Chicago Police, Superintendent Chief Johnson, to get this pushed out of his jurisdiction. Now, even though Ms. Foxx recused herself, it was turned over to, her deputy that she selected. And for some odd reason, this deputy comes out when he's interviewed and says that the reason why all these charges were dropped was because, well, there was no violence involved. So now we have people that are supposed to be upholding the rule of law, the people that are supposed to make sure that justice is equally spread throughout their jurisdiction, determining that, well, even though you committed a crime, it wasn't a bad crime. It's like saying you can tell a lie, but it's really not a bad lie. It's just a little white lie. But these are felony charges. So what message does that send to the United States of America. What message does that send to society? What message does that send to our young people that we try to raise them up to do what is right? It tells them that if you are privileged, and this has nothing to do with white privilege, it's everything to do with elitist privilege. It has everything to do with the connections that you have. Because if you go and you read about the connections between the former chief of staff or the former first lady, she's well connected with the sisters of Jussie Smollett. Just a little text message, just open source information out there between her and the state's attorney. And all of a sudden, out of clear blue sky, poof, gone. Never happened. Records are sponged. Now, let me ask you this. If they have dropped all charges against Jussie Smollett, does that mean that he was not guilty of these charges? Does that mean that they have found him innocent of these charges? No. What this state's attorney, this deputy state's attorney said is that we did not deem them to be violent. So in other words, he's guilty of it, but we just don't think it was bad enough for us to go through the proper judicial system and process of holding a trial and holding him accountable and responsible for the actions that he did. Now, Mr. Smollett, and the hubris that he has incredibly shown, says that he's innocent. He didn't do anything. Well, now, if Jussie Smollett is innocent of all these charges that were dropped, then who did it? I mean, then someone, obviously, at 2 a.m. in the morning, two white men, on a frigid below 10-degree night in Chicago, wearing red Make America Great hats, walking the streets of Chicago, saw him, I knew who he was, identified him. They had Clorox, they had a hangman's noose, and they assaulted him. Because if he's innocent, then there are two white guys still running around out there. And ask you this, who's going to walk around at 2 a.m. in Chicago when it's below 10 degrees with a red Make America Great hat? All you got to do is go check the local records for anyone that showed up at a hospital or a clinic with frostbite of their ears, because that's what's going to happen. But the whole thing is just absolutely preposterous. So now, if Jussie Smollett, who he says is innocent, and we've dropped all the charges, so what about these two big muscular Nigerian brothers that were caught on camera buying all the things that he described were used against him? And oh, by the way, he has a relationship with them. They're his personal trainers. You know, I remember that line from I Love Lucy that Ricky Ricardo used to always say, "Explain it to me, Lucy." This reeks, because it says that privilege is not just relegated to those of a certain skin color. It says that privilege is guaranteed to those of a certain elitist status. And the abject arrogance of the lawyer for Mr. Smollett, who obviously speaks for him, to say that we're weighing all of our options when it comes to suing the Chicago Police Department, suing the city, suing a city that they struck a match to that could have been the site of an incredible racial violence. But all the charges are dropped. But if all the charges are dropped and he's saying he's innocent, then there's still two white guys running around out there that assaulted him, right? This cannot be so in the United States of America. It cannot be that we have a certain cut line. And above the cut line, there are different rules, there are different laws, there are different standards, there are different mores, there are different values and principles for the people above the cut line. It's kind of like in that movie, The Hunger Games, you know, when you had the 12 districts, and everybody in the 12 districts, they lived a certain way. They lived below the cut line. They were just there to support and provide resources to the capital. And the capital was where all the people above the cut line, all the elitists, all the cool people with the fancy clothes and the nice hairdos and the twisted little beards and mustaches, that's where they lived. That's what we're devolving into here in the United States of America. Now, I have to tell you something, Mr. Smollett, if you are listening and or someone sends this little Facebook Live video to you, don't go and sue the Chicago Police Department. Because I can tell you right now, Mayor Rahm Emanuel and the superintendent, Chief Johnson, they ain't happy. Because as we say down south, surprises are for birthdays. And this surprise that Kim Foxx dropped on them is despicable, it's disgusting. And those police officers that spent the time to investigate this hoax that you created, and I'm going to call it as it is, they're upset. They're angry. They're angry because of the man hours that they wasted by you having them chase a tail of a dog that never was barking. And now they're really upset because of all the work they did to find the truth. And then you just have your little elitist friends like Trish Chen, Kim Foxx, maybe even First Lady Michelle Obama, just pull some strings for you. Life is not going to go back to how you think it is. And if you continue down that path of suing that city of Chicago, suing the Chicago Police Department, that file is going to get opened up and that file is going to get out. And the whole world will know exactly who you are. And you will be exposed for who you are. Because as they say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. But what you also need to be concerned about, sir, is that you did commit federal felony charges because you did use the U.S. postal system in that hoax with the whole letter thing. So somehow the federal government is going to come after you. And if you have upset old Rambo Emanuel, he's going to get you. Because what you did is embarrassing to the people of the city of Chicago. It's embarrassing to me as a black man that you would take the symbols of racism, the symbols that people in my family, born and raised down in South Georgia and Southern Alabama, had to experience. And we use them for your own, I don't know, selfish gain. You know, my mom used to have a saying, God don't like ugly. And right now, you're the epitome of ugly. But let me switch over to something that I want to say was very encouraging. And I want to encourage you to participate in. Last night, I had the opportunity to go to the screening of the movie Unplanned. Powerful movie. And let me tell you, I consider myself a pretty tough guy. I was fighting back some tears, man. Unplanned is the true story based upon the book written by Abby Johnson. Abby Johnson, and it occurred right here in the state of Texas. Bryan, Texas, which is down in Aggie land, Texas A&M country. And it involved the Planned Parenthood corporate headquarters down in Houston. Abby Johnson was the youngest ever clinic director in the history of Planned Parenthood. 2009, she was given an award as their Employee of the Year. But something happened one day in Abby Johnson's life at the clinic that she was the director of that completely changed her life. This story that so many people do not want to get out. As a matter of fact, the Motion Picture Association rated Unplanned R-rated. Now, I want you to think about this. The Motion Picture Association has given this movie Unplanned, which I saw. It has no shooting scenes, no gory violence or anything like that, other than telling the truth about what happens with these procedures that murders unborn babies. But they are saying that someone below the age of 17 cannot go to see it unless they are accompanied with an adult parent. But yet, young girls below the age of 17 are allowed to go into a Planned Parenthood clinic, the nation's largest abortion provider, without parental notification. Do you see the hypocrisy of that? Do you see the abject ignorance of that? But yet also, we're saying by rating it R that these 17-year-olds and below should not be able to go and see this movie without a parent or an adult accompanying them. But yet we have the progressive socialist left that wants 16-year-olds to be able to go and vote. But yet they're not mature enough to go see a movie about Planned Parenthood, the life of its youngest clinical director, a true story of Abby Johnson. See, this is what drives me crazy about the progressive socialist left. Their incessant hypocrisy. You can go get the abortion done without notifying your parents, but you cannot go see the movie about the place that gives you the abortion without your parents. What does that tell you? Maybe they don't want the truth to get out, which is what they tried to do to Abby Johnson when they took her to court. No spoiler alerts here. I'm not going to tell you anything that happens. Don't worry about it. But I want you to go see this movie Unplanned. I want this movie Unplanned to be the top grossing movie in the United States of America in its opening weekend. It opens up on Friday. That's what I want to see happen. The screening last night at the Dallas North Park Theater, number 4, jam-packed. Because it needs to be. Because we need to tell the truth about what's going on. We cannot continue down this path, people. This is not about women's reproductive health. This is not about the right to choose what to do with my body. No, this is about that first and inalienable right that is endowed by God, which is life. I do not want to see my country become, well, like Canaan and the Canaanites, who used to sacrifice their children to the god Moloch. And when I say God, that's with a little g. M-O-L-O-C-H. Read about it. We don't want to go down that path. But it is not just about our unborn. It's not about our born children as well. You can disagree with me all you want, but I challenge you to go see this movie Unplanned. Because you can say what you stand for. When you see the story of Abby Johnson, she stood for it as well, but then something happened. It was like that road to Damascus moment when the light shone brightly upon her. We have some situations in America that we have to deal with. When we have people like Jussie Smollett that, well, they laugh in the face of justice because they know, hey, I can get away with it because I'm part of the cool kids. When we are killing our unborn and our born babies, that's not the better angels of our nature, as Abraham Lincoln talked about. And if God is truly going to bless these great United States of America, we got to turn away from this path that we're on. And after seeing Unplanned, I'm even more committed. That's why I'm proud that here in Dallas, Texas, I'll be speaking at the Involved for Life Gala next month in April. Because I think it's time that men stand up and show that they love babies. And men take responsibility for making the babies, which the government tried to tell them you don't have to be responsible for. That's one of the failures of the Great Society programs. That's one of the false narratives of the progressive socialist left. Let us not follow the path of Jussie Smollett. Let us find our inner courage that you will see in the movie Unplanned with Abby Johnson. With that being said, let's see what you want to talk about. Sandra Martin says she's going to see this movie. Thank you, Sandra, and let everyone know about it. We the people be honored to see you on the ballot in 2024. Thanks, Mills Vince. We'll see what happens. I'm having a great time sharing and talking with you all. And please, get the word out. The things that we try to present and give to you, such as the genocide, excuse me, that's going on in Nigeria. We talked about that on Monday on theoldschoolpatriot.com. You hear everything about what happened in Christchurch, New Zealand, with the 2 mosques that were attacked. But no one's talking about the 300 Nigerians that have been killed by 2 Islamic militant groups, the Fulani tribes, and also Boko Haram. By the way, the president of Nigeria is a from the Fulani tribe. Mighty funny he's not cracking down on that. Let's see. Becky Gruber, thank you for the info. My pleasure. Deb Bliss, our country needs to come back to Jesus. I think that our country does need to humble itself. Not the hubris that we see in people like Jesse Smollett, but we need humility. Joyce Reyes Segal, very sad. No, when things look dark, you got to ruck up. You got to cowboy up. You got to fight back. And like I said, sunlight is the best disinfectant. Barbara Lipko, I have my own Planned Parenthood story from the 1970s. I'm not sure I can get through this movie. I think it's important for you to be there in that movie. And I think it's important, ma'am, that you tell your story and share it, because you may encourage some other women that have been through that exact same thing. And you may encourage some of the young women that just need a little bit of, well, courage themselves. Donna Steele Ash, strong men take care of their babies. Absolutely. Tell you what, back in the day, you know, you had to man up. Okay. You go out there and you create, you know, little kids, whatever, that's your responsibility. But the government, Lyndon Johnson came and said, that's not your responsibility. The government will take it. Government will give out checks. Well, the government will support the killing of the baby. Think about this again. One of the key points, Planned Parenthood. You know, here in Dallas, Texas, everyone was in an uproar about tearing down Robert E. Lee's statue in Lee Park. Planned Parenthood was founded by a white supremacist, a racist, who gave speeches at Ku Klux Klan rallies, who talked about people that look like me as undesirables and weeds. Margaret Sanger's vision of Planned Parenthood is being carried out right now. 70 to 75% of Planned Parenthood clinics are located in minority communities, and mainly communities where people that look like me live. And we allow that to happen. We allow this quote unquote not-for-profit organization to turn a profit they have made killing babies in industry. And they are supplied $500 million, $500 million, up to $535 million of taxpayer funds to do exactly what they're doing. Come on, folks. We can do better than that. Martha Klein went to the movie last night. Totally awesome. You have to go. Absolutely. Everyone, like Martha Klein just said, go please and see this movie Unplanned. If not, I tell you what, at least go look at the trailer. And even the trailer will bring tears to your eyes. Serious, no joke. You got to see this movie. Brenda Black, please run for president. You would definitely have my vote. Okay, I got one vote. I can get that campaign going. Thanks so much, Brenda. But you pray that I will be obedient to God's will and do what he would have me to do. Maybe he just wants me to continue down this path, because you couldn't have a Jesus if you didn't have a John the Baptist who made the way for Jesus to come. So maybe I'm just supposed to be the person that blocks and somebody else is going to run and score the touchdown. But if God determines that I'm supposed to score a touchdown, he'll make sure I get the ball. No worries. Teresa Garner, I'm planning on seeing Unplanned also. Great. Pamela Love Money, please share the link to the gala you're speaking at in Dallas. That link is on my Facebook page. It is called the Involve for Life Gala, and that organization is located here in Dallas, but the link and the information is on my Facebook page, so you'll be able to see it there. Pepper Jones, I want my grandkids to watch this movie. If they can have explicit and perverted sex education class at school, parents have very little say in it, then this movie needs to be seen by all kids. Absolutely. Again, think about it. You have no say-so in what your kids are being indoctrinated on in these classes. Is being determined by the school boards, but yet they're trying to tell you that, well, if you're 17 or below, you can't go see this movie by yourself, because it does not fit in with their ideological agenda. Just the same, they did the same thing with the movie Gosnell, that even though it had incredibly a lucrative opening weekend, all of a sudden they stopped showing it in certain theaters. And you watch and see the same foolishness is going to happen when all of a sudden, coming out of this weekend, Unplanned is going to be number one. I know, because you guys are going to go see it. You're going to tell people to go see it. And those people are going to tell people to go see it. It's going to be a viral movie. And the left will not know what to do. The people in Hollywood will not know what to do. So what will they do? They'll try to cancel it at theaters. They'll come up with some lame excuse like they did for Gosnell. But that's okay. We'll get it out there. And that's where we need your voices. Sue Crawford Caiaphas, Florida. Hello, down there, Sunshine State. Judy Roach Bush, thank you so much for your kind words. And we're a retired Army family. Sergeant Major, my dad was a retired major. So thank you very much. And I'm honored that you have a family of military service just the same as mine. Brenda Dale Mowdy, you now have 2 votes. Okay, thank you. Roxanne Orlando, hello from New Jersey. Roxanne, keep up the fight there in New Jersey, because that governor you have, Phil Murphy, that guy's a nutcase. He's a chucklehead, okay? And something has to happen in New Jersey. You're bleeding population just the same as New York, just the same as California. 1.5 million people have left California. Now, the problem is a lot of those rascals are coming here to Texas and trying to make it into California, but that's okay. Progressive socialism will die here in Texas. It will. And then we will start to push back to get it out of New Mexico, get it out of Arizona, get it out of Colorado, get it out of Nevada, and push it right back into to California, where it came from. Don't bring your bad ideas to successful places. Remember when Lot and his family left the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah? God gave him one commandment. What was it? Don't look back. I think that was a song by that rock group Boston. Don't Look Back. Folks need to listen to that song. All right. John Wayne Tucker, thank you for unashamedly professing Christ. Hey, let me tell you something, folks. At the end of the day, I want to hear him say, well done, thy good and faithful servant. My wife is not going to say, well done. My daughters, Aubrey and Austin, aren't going to say it. That's what I live for. That's the most important thing. I'm not living for the applause of man or anything like that. I think Francesca Battistelli has a fantastic song. It goes, I don't need my name in lights. I'm famous in my Father's eyes. Make no mistake, he knows my name. I'm not living for applause. I'm already so adored. It's on his stage that he knows my name. That's the most important stage for me. So I love the fact that I get so much support and encouragement, but in the end, I got to hear from him. So thank you so much. Pamela Hasler, is there an underground government at work in our country? Without a doubt. I think that the Mueller investigation has revealed that there's definitely this thing called a deep state. Let us not equivocate about this anymore. This was a failed soft coup in the United States of America. And I think, without a doubt, it goes back to the previous administration and the president, Barack Hussein Obama. Because one of those text messages from Lisa Page to her sweetie, Peter Strzok, said, POTUS wants to know everything that we're doing. See, now that the Democrats, the socialists, whatever you want to call them, they're not going to let go of this. If you haven't seen Representative Eric Swalwell from California and his delusional meltdown with Martha McCallum, they still believe that the president is a Russian agent. They didn't get the outcomes that they wanted, so they're going to continue to talk about the outcomes that they want from the Mueller report. But always remember that this whole thing got started because of an unverified document that was created by a former British spy who worked with the Russians to get this salacious, those are the words of James Comey, document into the hands of this organization. This document was paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign, Fusion GPS, Nellie Orr, whose husband's Bruce Orr, works in the Department of Justice. Somehow it gets through the FBI, Andrew McCabe gets it, and it gets before a FISA court judge, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. A politicized document, unverified information, is used to enact surveillance against American citizens as well as against a presidential candidate, and also was the platform by which an investigation was launched against a sitting United States president. Don't let us go down the path of being an East Germany secret Stasi state. Yes, there is such thing as a deep state. There is a rottenness that's at the head of these agencies. We now are living in a time where federal government agencies, these bureaucrats, are being weaponized against the American people. The exact same thing happened with the IRS scandal against conservative grassroots groups. They got away with it. Lois Lerner sitting out there getting a six-figure taxpayer-funded retirement should be revoked. We need to find out who was really behind that dossier. And people that attempted a soft coup here in the United States of America, they need to do the perp walk. There's no collusion out there. And as Robert Mueller said, who previously the left was just raining praises upon, now he's the second coming of Beelzebub. But Robert Mueller, with some 2,500 subpoenas, 500 to 600 witnesses, countless amounts of investigators, he came up with, there's a dry hole, folks. There's not enough evidence to even sustain this thing called obstruction of justice. No, we got to see the entire full report, because somewhere in there, there's something about collusion with Russia and obstruction of justice. Adam Schiff, the chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, I still know that there's evidence of collusion with Russia. We shouldn't have these type of deranged people sitting in elected office. So yeah, we got a problem in our government. Okay, Colleen Springer. Yes, Obama's part of this shadow government. Well, I mean, he stayed in Washington, D.C. He has his nice little house not too far away from the White House, and Valerie Jarrett is living there with him. That old Rasputin tells you something, doesn't it? Lisa Long Morgan, can the president investigate the Democrats? It's not about investigating a group of people. We specifically know the people that need to be investigated. James Comey, Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Christopher Steele, Lisa Page, Bruce and Nellie Orr, the head of Fusion GPS, Susan Rice, Samantha Power, James, what's his name? I just forgot that rascal's name. John Brennan, and the former head of the Department of National Intelligence. It'll come to me. The guy that said that, there was no surveillance being done on American citizens. You guys probably remember his name. It'll pop into my head. But all those folks, they need to be looked into. They need to be investigated. Susan Mills needs to be looked into. Cheryl Mills, I'm sorry. Huma Abedin. All of these folks. So we know who they are. You just need to have the courage to do it. James Clapper. That's what I meant to say. James Clapper. I knew it would come to me. Robert Barris, do you think President Trump's administration should do more to stop the big social media giants from censoring Republicans and conservative voices? I think so. Some people will say that this executive order on free speech on college campuses won't do anything. It sends a message. It sends a message that we are paying attention. And it empowers these young people on these college campuses to not be afraid. As a matter of fact, all of you folks out there in Southern California, I'll be heading out to Orange County College in Costa Mesa, California on the 1st of May to talk about the Second Amendment. I can't wait to go to California to talk about the Second Amendment right after the NRA annual meeting and convention. And if you're an NRA life member and you got a ballot, I really hope you voted for me so that I can get a second term on the NRA board. All right, a couple more questions. Diane Kitchen, thank you very much for saying that I'm special. Some people will say that I'm special ed. Josh Greason, after Trump done draining the swamp, you need to run for president. I know tons of people who feel the same. Okay, so now I've gone from just 2 votes to tons of people. I don't know how we quantify that as far as amount of votes, but I would be happy for that to happen if it's God's will. And again, we have to protect our right to vote. Nancy Pelosi is talking about newcomers. So you have the right to vote in our elections. Newcomers is a new buzzword from the left for illegal immigrants. Remember that the House Democrats just last month, or earlier this month, voted for illegal immigrants to vote in local elections. If they're allowed to vote in local elections, what's going to keep them from voting in federal elections? All right. Let's see. Thoughts on Stacey Abrams, Whitney Lassiter Redden? A disaster. Please, in my birth state of Georgia, tell Stacey Adams no. Just say no. Stop it. Okay? She came really close to winning that election for governor. And why? Because the left is they are going into successful red states. You see it here in Texas. And they're populating the major urban centers and the surrounding counties around. and the lower lying rural areas don't have enough population to overtake it. Do not allow Stacey Abrams to be a senator from the state of Georgia. Do not allow Stacey Abrams to ever have national level position of elected power in the United States of America. All you need to do is go back and look at the response that she gave to the President's State of the Union address, and you can see how mean and divisive this woman is. I don't care if Oprah Winfrey went out and knocked door to door for her. We don't want Stacey Abrams to have a position of leadership. It's not about identity politics in America. As a matter of fact, the neighborhood that I grew up in, the old Fourth Ward, that produced Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he said it's about content of character, not about color of skin. So that's what we need to start focusing on. All right, last one. Carol Ashburn, I hope Lindsey Graham has success in getting the investigation on all these people who are part of trying to bring our president down. It's not about just bringing the president down. This was a soft coup to undermine this constitutional republic and to negate a duly elected president. What they tried to do to President Trump is not just about President Trump, it's about you. And the fact that, we talked about the national popular vote interstate compact. Remember this, that President Trump won, I believe, 38 states to what Hillary Clinton won. But they believe that those few states that Hillary Clinton won, based upon the immense amount of population they have, should rule the United States of America. That's why civics is important, because the founding fathers wanted us to have a representative democracy, not a pure democracy. A pure democracy leads to a tyranny of a majority. Why do you think the left wants to flood the zone with these illegal immigrants that are being released willy-nilly into our society? They want them to vote. Why do you think the left wants 16-year-olds to be able to vote, but yet they don't want 16-year-olds to be able to go see the movie Unplanned? They're power hungry. And they're going to do everything they possibly can to regain power in 2020. Man up, old school patriots. As we say here in Texas, it's an Alamo moment. But just always remember those few brave men that came out of that tavern, came out of the woods, came out of everywhere on April 19th, 1775. They took on the greatest power that the world has ever known. So we can be living here today in the greatest nation that the world has ever known. God bless you all. God bless America. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. Have a great night.